What is going on, bottom line viewers? The NFL season is finally hitting the climax. It's Super Bowl 53, Patriots, Rams, Bill Belichick versus Sean McVay. We have a ton of matchups, great players all over on both sides of the football. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into all the individual matchups. We're going to talk about the storylines. We're going to talk about what it means for both teams to win. And we're going to, of course, give you our prediction in this video for who we believe is going to win. Give us your prediction in the live comments or the comment section below, depending on when you're watching this video. If you're watching it after the fact, leave your comment below. If you're watching it live, leave your comments in the live section. We'll get to those comments throughout the video. We'll figure it out, but we're going to kind of just have a discussion about the game, have some fun doing it. So join us and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're new to the Bottom Line View, for sure, check us out. We do NFL content and NFL content only, and we do a ton of it, so check it out. All right, guys, Rams, Patriots, finally here. We're just a couple days away. It's going to be an exciting game. Another Super Bowl with the Patriots in it, so there might be a little fatigue for some of you guys. Of course, not me. But what do we think of this game? Just off the top of our head, what's our thoughts? What are we excited for? You know, are you feeling the Super Bowl hype yet, or are you kind of not feeling it so much? Let's start off with AC. Bro, what are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I think it's maybe one of the least hype Super Bowls in a long time. I think obviously the Patriots keep it exciting, but from that media day, it seemed like the Rams were just like happy to be there and not like they were playing a game. And, you know, like all the storylines of like Belichick's buddies with McVay, and it didn't have that animosity that last year's Super Bowl or the Atlanta Super Bowl had. Atlanta came in, regardless of what happened in the game, Atlanta came in that whole week ready to go. They had a great season, probably almost on par with what the Rams did this year, that Atlanta team. Now you look at last year, it was kind of, you know, there was animosity. It wasn't like, there was obviously respect, but it didn't seem like those two teams, when they got together, it was like they were laughing it up. And it just seems like New England is way ahead of the curve. They're almost being overly nice to the Rams, and the Rams kind of got sucked in to be overly nice back. And I think at the end of the day, this could get ugly, and it could get ugly real quick. And I just don't think the Rams are going to be ready for the Super Bowl.
Kevol, you have a response to that?
I agree with AC that this has been one of the least hyped. I think it's because in both games, there was, in the conference games, we're still dealing with the sort of a feeling of bitterness of how both teams got to the Super Bowl, rightly or wrongly. Like, you look at the, obviously with the Rams, you obviously have this call that got them into the perception is, and I'll break it down a little bit later, but the perception is the Rams got into the Super Bowl because of a bad call. And the NFL didn't really talk about it until today, sort of, and still haven't really talked about it. And I think that there are some fans that are leaving a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. And I think that there was the whole controversy around the overtime and the Patriots going down the field and scoring, and Patrick Mahomes not having that opportunity to come back and score, even though 4 hours before the Saints won the coin toss, went down the field, the Rams made the interception and stopped them. I still think we're feeling a little bit of a bitter pill on both sides. And it feels like, it feels like the evil empire is facing a new evil empire in some people's mind. To use a wrestling term, it's a heel versus heel matchup. And I don't know if fans know who to cheer for just yet, but I'm thinking the Rams are going to get a little bit more support than people think as I think about this, as we get into it. But it's been one of the more least hyped Super Bowls in some time. But I'm really excited because I think that there's some interesting things, and I actually kind of disagree with AC. I don't see this as a blowout, but we'll get into it.
Dylan ripping the stars.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, perfect for the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like I tweeted out, this is my least hyped since 47, which was the Ravens and the 49ers. I had no stake in that. I had no excitement in that game. This game, I feel like there's two really good teams, but it's the ways that they got there are kind of making this an interesting vibe, I guess. The Rams, they came in, they bought everybody to make this team happen. They got a whole bunch of trades, Peters to leave, they signed big deals. They were built up to make these big acquisitions versus the Patriots, who have been built on the coaching style of Belichick, focused on making this team as organized as possible and leading this big dynasty that's been here for years. So coming into the third matchup, we had Atlanta 2 years ago, Philly last year, and Rams this year. I feel like it's three very different teams, but I think the motto kind of stayed the same with Atlanta and Philadelphia. Whereas the Rams just feel like, yeah, we're here. We did a very good job in the regular season. We did great. We're happy to be here. We are excited to be at the Super Bowl, but it's no like, there's no tension to it, which kind of makes me feel a little disappointed. I think both teams were obviously very capable of being at this point. I think they're two of the top teams, obviously, that we have are in the NFL. So they're both deserving of it, but it just doesn't feel quite as anticipated as it usually is. Again, I like what I saw to both teams throughout the course of the year, certain moments, but it does not have the same feel to me as it has in the past for some reason.
I think you just brought up a compelling point. I actually disagree a little bit, Dylan, with that. I actually feel like with the Rams and the Patriots, we've seen sort of the two ways you can sort of build a team. And I think we've seen the Rams take that young quarterback contract and basically use it to their advantage and spend their money elsewhere and try and get this Super Bowl out of it. I think a lot of people are looking at the Rams similarly to like the Chiefs, the Colts, some of these teams that a lot of people think are going to be good for the next few years. I think the Rams will be good, but that's for different reasons. I think that's mostly because of McVay. I don't really think it's because of their roster. I think their roster is going to kind of get a little bit worse and not as talented as the years go on. I think right now is their best opportunity to win because they're going to lose a couple free agents. They're not going to have the same amount of salary cap once they have to re-sign Jared Goff. So I think you're looking at two different ways to building your team. And then the other way is, of course, with the Patriot program, and they've kind of been doing this for 20 years, signing smart free agents for not a lot of money, making solid trades, finding little depth pieces that can add to your roster while having a quarterback who doesn't make as much money as he really should and having a phenomenal coach thrown in there. So I think this is kind of two of the ways you've seen that teams are trying to model themselves after to try and win a Super Bowl. We saw it last year with the Eagles. We've seen it a little bit. Going forward, we're going to see it with some teams like the Colts and the Browns as well. But I just think that it's interesting that those two teams are in the Super Bowl when, we all looked at like a team like the Saints as a team that we thought were going to get to the Super Bowl, but they're not really built on that same model. So it's interesting. Guys, let's just start off with like the number one storyline you're really excited about. Like, what's the one storyline? I know some of you guys said you're not really that excited. What's the one thing in this game that you're like super excited to watch? AC?
Well, obviously it's the Patriots dynasty to see if they can win. Obviously that's a big storyline, but I think the biggest one for me is what is Jared Goff going to look like now? The NFC Championship, he was competent. He made good throws. The same in the playoffs. He has been. I actually think he has been better. If you look at some of the big plays the Rams have made, I think it's to do with McVay and also not playing against that great of teams and winning those games. Because if you look at some of the loss, like I look at that Eagles loss, and they really needed to have that game to continue maybe even having the one seed that they didn't have to travel to the Rams if they win that game against a secondary that was horrible, that was just kind of starting out playing together. I look at how Goff played in that and how Gurley played in that. I think that's the big storyline. If Gurley's injured, that's another thing. But my biggest thing is how is Goff going to play if they shut down? And obviously Belichick's going to shut down the run, take away the running backs, and Goff's going to have to win this game. If the Rams win, Goff's the MVP in my opinion, because I don't think it's going to be Gurley. I think it's going to be because Goff's making plays. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that's a big storyline. Can Goff be clutch?
For me, big picture, the story is this old school versus, you kind of brought it up, Mitch. It's old school a little bit versus new school. So because of the McVay effect, we have Cliff Kingsbury. We have the quarterback coach going to Cincinnati to be the head coach. We've got these new, young, good-looking, 30-ish-year-olds head coaches taking over programs, thinking that there's this innovative offense that the LA Rams has is the way to go, versus a team that has been to the Super Bowl 9 times in 18 years. I saw a stat today that was on NFL Network that I just never realized. It is more likely now that Tom Brady will get into a Super Bowl than Terry Bradshaw would complete a pass and Michael Jordan would complete a shot. It's like 50 to 55%. It's crazy. So which style is more effective in terms of how you build a team, I think is to me the overlying big storyline. And I think that the legacy question about Brady and Belichick, if the Rams wins, goes into play. In my opinion, I think that this has been settled. Brady and Belichick are the greatest combination. Brady's the best quarterback that has ever played the game. I believe that Bill Belichick is the best coach that has ever coached a professional sports team, in my opinion. We can argue where Brady is in terms of the athletic status. That's for another time. But if they lose, I think some people are going to wonder about that legacy, because they are 5-4 instead of 6-3 is an interesting thing. But 9 Super Bowls in 18 years, that's just unheard of.
Kevel, I don't like to get into this argument, but I hate when people bring up Super Bowl losses as a stat, because
Bodo.
yeah, Bodo, because you don't ever go to you don't want to lose in the wild card just to say you didn't lose in the Super Bowl. You're trying to win the Super Bowl.
Do we call the Buffalo Bills, who've lost 4 straight Super Bowls?
Nobody would remember the Bills if they lost in the divisional round 4 straight years. We would just call them the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, it's just that whole perception and that conversation around that. You're asking what the storylines are.
I think, on that point, the Super Bowls they have lost, they were the favorites. That has to come into play at some point. They lost,
I think that's ridiculous.
They lost the Super Bowl when they were 12-point favorites. That's a big story.
That game they should have won, but also, I mean, you could say that took pretty much a miracle for them to lose the game. So, I mean,
I know, but I'm just saying though, the Super Bowls every Super Bowl they've lost, the 3 they've lost, they were favorites. They were supposed to win and they didn't. I just think that I understand what you're saying. I think it's great that it's a 9. I'm just saying you want to get to the Super Bowl and you want to win, and you obviously don't want to lose, and I understand that aspect. And if you lose, that's still pretty decent that you made it. It's just if you're the favorite, I feel like if they were underdogs and lost in those 3, it would be a different story. But being the favorite, they're supposed to win. And yes, there's some bad breaks, things happen. But in some people's mind, I don't think that takes away. But in those 3 losses, and I don't think it's going to be a 4th, but in those 3 losses, if you're a fan of them, if you hate them, you probably at the end of the day were like, you know what? They let that one slip away. We should have won that one because of this coaching decisions. You know what I mean? In those losses, especially last year, you bring up the Butler thing, right? That was something that Belichick did when he's the best coach ever, and he did something that hurt his team's chances to win in a loss. And obviously, Super Bowl losses are magnified more than a wild card loss because it's a Super Bowl. Everyone's watching.
Still, as a competitor, it's a very lame argument, and I think either way, even if you're going to look at it that way, it still doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, this is what AC always says. This is playing with house money. I think at this point, Brady is the greatest NFL player ever. Belichick is the greatest coach ever. The Patriots are the greatest NFL dynasty ever. These things have already been established. We shouldn't even be really debating this anymore.
But the haters disagree with you.
Because they're haters. You're not going to change their mind. You just have to look at the facts, look at the numbers, look at the statistics, and anybody with a mind and a brain would tell you that the Patriots and all these guys are the best that have ever been. Like it's really not much of a debate at this point. It's just
but I'm just saying,
on
as a competitor, Tom Brady wants to be 9-0. He doesn't want to be 5-4.
Of course not, but you're not going to win every Super Bowl.
No, and I understand. I
understand
that. I understand that. But they're thinking they let those ones slip away.
I would rather have 9 appearances, lose 4, than lose 9 straight, lose 9 one and dones.
No, and everyone would. I'm just saying that I'm thinking it from Tom Brady is he probably on his own legacy. Man, those 3 ones I lost slipped away. That's too bad.
Of course.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's what I'm just trying to come from. I'm not talking about the haters. I'm just saying that they were favorite and they let 3 slip away, which it could be even crazier. But then on the other side, great, but it could on
some of their wins, they maybe shouldn't have won them.
For sure. And I understand that. But I think we're almost like debating 2 different levels. I think everyone agrees that no matter what, they're still the best. But if they won those ones, it would be even more than that.
So basically what you're saying is you're nitpicking.
No, I'm not nitpicking. I'm just saying that's what my opinion of them would be even more so if they went 9-0 than 5-4.
And to just counter that,
Cowboys and the Steelers a little bit differently. Those dynasties are looked at still a little bit differently because they never lost a Super Bowl.
But the Steelers lost in the AFC Championship. The Cowboys didn't even make it after that point. Like,
we're talking about the old, the
Cowboys lost to the 49ers. The Steelers lost to the Raiders. Like, they didn't even make it there. Like, these are only like 3-4 years. They didn't last 20 years. Like,
no, of course you're gonna lose. The other side of the argument.
Yeah, right? We're saying what like some people do say, and obviously, if they were 9-0, they'd be the most amazing story in the history of sports.
And they never blew anybody out in a Super Bowl, and the 49ers and the Cowboys did. So there's just that perception. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying,
like if they were 9-0, they'd be better than the Yankees. The Yankees still have it because of what they did for so long. Or the Celtics, what they did in that period, 11 championships in a row. Like that's crazy. Like if they were 9-0, they would be in football. It's even crazier. I know even 9 Super Bowls being whatever record you are is crazy. I'm just saying if they were 9-0, they would surpass any team in the history of sports, any era, everything. But I still think that Celtics winning 11 championships in a row is pretty insane.
I think that's just a testament. Like what we're talking about right now is we're nitpicking the Patriots so hard that we're looking for perfection. And I think that's just a testament to how competitive and tough the NFL is.
No, we're not nitpicking. We're just
I'm agreeing with you.
We're agreeing with you. We're just saying that we believe that 9-0 would be an even bigger all-time thing that would, because those losses in the Super Bowl are always going to overhang. The Boston Celtics of the 60s, they have no losses that they can.
Yeah, but the Boston Celtics also had the same team every year. They never had to go with carryover. They played barely any teams. It's a totally different thing.
Well, then that's just that. But I'm just saying, you use the word nitpicking. That's just nitpicking for the Boston Celtics. So let's move on.
Yeah, I just don't want to I don't.
No, I'm just saying we agree with you. I think they're the best ever. I'm just saying that they lost ones that they should have won, and I think that matters. Just like the teams, if your team loses in the AFC championships and you thought they could have won, that stings too. It's still a blemish, in my opinion. There's only one winner. And there's 31 losers every year. So it's impressive that they can be the one winner most of the time. But if
that's why nobody's perfect. Okay, let's move on.
Well, I'm saying there's no second place.
Let's move on.
Dylan, what's your storyline?
Thank you, Kev. I love you. So my storyline here is the fact that we've got 2 very different head coaches. We've got the greatness of Bill Belichick, how long he's been here for how great he has been for this amount of time, and Sean McVay, the new head comer, the new kid on the block, if you will. This could be, I'm not saying it is, but it feels maybe like a passing of the torch. If the Rams can win this moment, this would be a huge moment for the football landscape overall, because you got one coach that's so young, 33 years old at this point. I mean, it's pretty crazy to see how good he's been able to coach. And I feel like if he can pull out this victory, this will change the guard of the football landscape for a very long time. I'm not saying the Patriots won't continue to dominate, but the way that we're seeing it is we're seeing the greatness of the greatest head coach of all time, Bill Belichick, versus the new guy that can become that at some point if he continues down this path. So if McVay wins the first one, I think this would be a huge storyline.
All right, and we'll get into the coach matchup right now. Let's go into the matchup that we believe is going to decide the game. The one-on-one matchup in the game that we think is going to be the biggest like impact on this game. So not a coaching matchup, but a physical on-field matchup. What do we think is going to decide this game? AC.
I think receiver. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go. I guess we're not talking coaches, but I do want to say I'm just gonna still stay on the Goff thing and the Rams receivers if they can get separation. Gilmore has proved that he's an All-Pro for a reason. He can probably just take Woods one-on-one, and then you could have someone over top of Cooks. So what I would say a big thing would be like the slot receiver Reynolds. I think he's gonna have to step up. The tight ends are going to have to step up, and Goff. I think that's my biggest thing that I'll be watching for. And again, I just don't think they're going to be successful. I've never seen a Super Bowl where I've felt so confident about a team winning before.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. It's just what I just like don't think the Rams are that good, man. I don't.
Okay,
I thought they had a cupcake schedule. I thought that their coach made some good calls, but I don't think they won. They didn't win any in the playoffs. They won the big games. During the season, the games they needed to have, they didn't win.
They did beat the Chiefs.
Besides the Chiefs. Yes, but the Chiefs defense is the worst ever.
But also, if you're a team that's focused on the playoffs, regular season doesn't matter. Like you got to the point, you don't need to worry about
all the teams you need to beat. Why? Like, what do you?
No, I think their defense isn't that great. Obviously, their defensive line is unbelievable. Their linebackers are weak. Talib has had a resurgence, which I like how he's been playing, but Peters has been shown where he has no idea where he's going. The offensive line has been better. They don't really have a lot of big skill positions. Woods isn't going to get a jump ball in the end zone for you. Cooks is going to get separation. I don't think Goff can get it there. And Gurley is unbelievable, and that offensive line has been doing good with C.J. Anderson. I just think if you shut down Gurley and Anderson, I don't think they're very good. And I don't think that defense – you're going against Tom Brady. Like, I don't think that defense is going to be able to hold up.
So, do you think the biggest matchup? Because you said it's Goff and the receivers in the secondary.
I just think that.
Do you think it's that,
matchup.
Or do you think it's the Patriots rush defense versus the Rams rushing offense? Because let's say the Rams can run the ball, or can they win this game?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Then that is a bigger matchup. I just think I was kind of more on the side where the Pats defense is going to be able to stop the run because they're going to want Goff to beat you, right? They're going to want Goff to make the throws, and I'm very confident that they're going to be able to stop the run. And then the second part, if you're cheering for the Rams too, is can they get the ball downfield with Goff's arm?
Okay. Kevil, how do you see it? What's the biggest matchup to you?
Offensively, I'm going to go Patriots-Ram offensively. Honorable mention to Tom Brady versus Aqib Talib. I do think that that's going to be an interesting matchup where Talib is specifically matched up. Is he matched up exclusively with Edelman? What do they do with Gronk? But to me, the actual matchup that I think is going to make the difference is the Rams defensive line with Aaron Donald versus the Patriots running back. And a lot of people talked about last week, let's get past the call. The fact is the reason that the Saints were passing is they couldn't run the football last week or a couple of weeks ago. Mark Ingram had 30 was 9 carries for 31 yards last week. Ezekiel Elliott, Dylan's friend Ezekiel Elliott, could not get a 4th and 1 on the LA Rams defensive line. And it's not only Aaron Donald, it's the fact that Ndamukong Suh and Dante Fowler and all of them have stepped up to allow Aaron Donald to be who he is. And the Patriots have been able to run the ball on the Chargers and on Kansas City, no matter who it is. I think, to me, whoever wins that specific matchup, I believe will win the game.
So the running game of the Patriots versus the run defense of the Rams.
Yes.
Dylan, what's your big matchup?
A big matchup is the defensive line for the Rams versus the offensive line of the Patriots. Kind of similar.
Passing game-wise or run game-wise or both?
A little bit of both, I would say. When you get down to it, I think the defensive line for the Rams in the past 2 games has been really, really well. Some of the best performances they've had all year. They were able to contain any run game, like Kevel said, against my Cowboys. Wink to Mr. Elliott. And against the Saints, with Kamara having to basically do what he does best, which is catch out of the backfield. Maybe if they can stop that, it'd be a little bit easier, but that's not really the defensive line's job. I think the thing is that if they can get pressure on Brady, you know what he can do if he has time. If he has time in shotgun formation, he's gonna sling it. Tony Romo's gonna call all his plays before it happens, but the defense isn't gonna know what's happening. So you know what Tom Brady's capable of if he has even just a few more seconds to be like, all right, here's Chris Hogan, here's Edelman. Oh, Gronk, you want some time? Here you go. If specifically Donald and Sue can get that pressure in the middle of the field and force him to make these uncomfortable throws, even forcing a 3-and-out would be huge in this kind of game. You know the talent that's there. Aaron Donald, he has 59.5 sacks since 2014. And by the way, had 7.5 more sacks this season than the entire Oakland Raiders franchise. So you know what by the way, very good accomplishment. So you know what he's capable of, especially as a run defender. But if you can push that line, a really good offensive line, one of the better ones in the game, but a very solid defensive line as of late, can put that pressure and get Brady to, okay, we're going to have to throw it to White if it has to be that point, I think would be huge. Just do not let anything down the field. Huge, big gains, anything more than 15 yards, that pressure is going to come on there and focus on eliminating that kind of the game. So I'm talking about the defensive line pressure versus that Patriots O-line.
All right. Yeah, that's a huge one. I think you guys have all brought up great ones, so I'm not really going to steal yours. Run game, pass game. We've talked about the line of scrimmage. I think is a big deal. We've all kind of brought that up. And really looking at it, I think big one is going to be kind of outside the box is going to be how the Rams defend the middle of the field in the passing game. So what is their plan for the 3 weapons the Patriots love to throw the ball to? What's the plan for James White? What's the plan for Gronk? What's the plan for Edelman? Are they going to double Edelman? Or are they going to double Gronk? Or are they going to put a safety on White? Or what are they going to do? So I think that's a big deal because we know if Brady has those guys going, if those guys are getting separation, if those guys have good matchups, Brady's going to feel comfortable even if he has pressure on him because he knows he can. Those guys like Edelman especially, he can get separation so quickly that Brady can make a throw quick so it doesn't even matter if there's pressure in his face because he won't even see it really. So that's a big deal. Like how does Wade Phillips go about scheming this defense and how do the matchups work out for that? I think a big one as well, AC and I talked about it on the betting video, which will come out tomorrow. James White, I think, he's going to have a big day because how do the Rams going to deal with stopping Gronk and Edelman and White? And how are they going to put a linebacker on him? And that might not be a great, comfortable matchup for them. So that's going to be interesting. And that's a big matchup that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed because when you talk about the Rams defense, they really struggled early in the season. They switched to sort of more of a zone defense, which we know is not good when playing Tom Brady. And that's really what they've been comfortable in lately. So do they try and play more man against Brady and the Patriots, or do they stick with what they know, which might not be the best case? So it's going to be interesting. We'll go to the comments right now before we go to like our individual breakdowns of the game and get our picks, and then we'll be out. But let's go to the comments right now before we go to the individual breakdown. Let's start off with Robot Guy, who says, hello. What's going on, Robot Guy? Big Pats fan, of course. Brett Hart is in the chat. He says, everyone get up and cherish upon your eyes. Brett, the Hitman Hart. He says he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Robot Guy says, let's go Pats. Kevin DeCant says, go Rams. Killin' Boys is, of course, a Pats fan. He says, what's up, guys? Ultra says, honestly, dislike both teams. In the Rams, you have maybe the beginning of a dynasty. Wow, that's heavy. And in the Patriots, you have the greatest dynasty ever, led by the greatest coach and quarterback. Hot Take Hockey, John's in the chat. He says, Mitch, did you return the equipment okay? Yes, I did. He says, kill him is spam in the chat. Ultra, don't take the Rams lightly. They are great. I think that's specifically pointed at AC. Deshaun Drakeford says 30 to 23 Rams. Ultra says, oh no, not the Rams. It's just LA fans. Don't really care about their team. They care more about how their whiskey is. Okay. Dilly the Goat Vanilli says Kevin Durant. So Dilly doesn't appreciate it enough. He's being called the GOAT. AC is the real GOAT, says Robot. Hot Take Hockey says go Dallas, go, or go Stars, go. Ultra says Mitch's water bottle is Super Bowl MVP. He also comments on my shirt. Thank you. Kevin Durant thinks I'm going on a date. Gaudy says
nice.
it's going to be interesting to see if the stage is too big for Goff. Yeah, that's a big question, especially for AC. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is the future stadium of the NFL. It's the future of NFL stadiums. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, I think with stadiums now, though, they're all whatever the next one. Like the LA one's going to be better than
It's a one
now.
out.
If you're building stadiums, especially for the NFL, they're all going to be like state of the art. Everyone's just going to keep on getting better. That's actually a good topic for another time. Is when do you pull the plug? And it takes a lot, right? Because some of these stadiums are getting up there. Do you like just kind of the old like Arrowhead? You know, even Gillette's getting somewhat old. It gets
Gillette's
to a point
only
where
like
20,
not even 20 years old. Yeah.
No, it's past 20. They
No,
were playing.
It's been around since 2002.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But still, like, there's even like the link is around the same.
Link's pretty old.
No, it's only 19 years.
Really?
But still, it's just like so much has changed in that 20 years. It's like when do you reno or something? Because like these stadiums are insane what they're building now.
I think a big deal is like for the stadiums is, you know, if you don't have a dome, you're going to not get a Super Bowl. Like, I think that's actually a big deal. Like, if you have a chance to host the Super Bowl, imagine how much like that helps your city. So I feel like that actually has a big impact on like a city like Minnesota, for example. They went to a dome. I think one of the factors was because they had a chance to host a Super Bowl. But yeah, that's interesting. I hope that everybody just doesn't go to a dome because I do like the environment.
I want to say that. I think I just want to say I would love to see a Super Bowl in Lambeau Field.
That would be cool.
That would be very cool. And that's one stadium I never want to see touched.
Mm-hmm. Gotti says, we need this win. Last Super Bowl killed me. It's been a long year for me. Go Pats. Wow, what a spoiled fan. Snoopy, the Patriot hater Patriot fan, says, I love my team. I don't know if he does. They just drove me nuts all year. We will win. Wow, now he's confident. So I'm thinking we're going to lose now because Snoopy
Everybody's
hasn't picked us
confident
all year. Snoopy hasn't picked us all year, and now he's going to pick us. So not a fan. Ultra says Pats will win. Robot Guy says he doesn't predict Pats games. Ultra says Pats will win, but Rams are the future.
Can we just go? Let's stop and talk about this. I don't think the Rams. I would argue the Rams need the Super Bowl more than the Patriots in the sense that they need to establish that community, and they went all in because they need that fan base back. But that window for the Rams is not as long as people think. You're right. McVay is a good coach, but that's not a long window.
Well, and that's why Mitch brought that point up earlier. I think that's very accurate because, I mean, this roster was built on getting all these big name players, and they're not going to have extensively long contracts. So, and some of them are old.
Yeah,
so
Talib, Rockers.
Yeah.
We're going to see how
Whitworth, like offensive line.
We're going to see how great McVay really is. Like, can his system survive? Because a lot of coaches, first couple of years, it's a little different than fifth, sixth year. Like, you got to continue to evolve. Like we've talked about, never won a Super Bowl, but Andy Reid has been successful because he's been able to continue to evolve what he does, which is mostly offense. He's been continued to evolve that. So we'll see if McVay can do that and with different talent. And I think a big question is, I think they think Goff is the guy. I think we all think Goff's a good quarterback. It's just like, is he really that guy that you should pay that much money, even though you're kind of forced to?
But what's interesting is he may not get the 30 million. He may get 22 to 25 million, but you can add another player that can offset him not being one of the greatest quarterbacks. That could be an advantage for the Rams going forward.
Sure. And maybe he'll take less just to stay there. Remember last season when Sue destroyed Brady? I don't remember that. Bodo says Pats by 20, 37-17. Travis says the stupid Rams will win, no doubt.
Jesus.
And Bodo thinks I'm going to go read poetry after this. All right, let's get into...
That's what you do in college, man.
That's pretty much what you do, man.
Trash.
Come on, dude. All right, let's start off with Dylan here. Dylan Benilli, what's your opinion on this Super Bowl? Who you got winning? What's your score? Who's your Super Bowl MVP? Break it all down. Offense, defense, whatever you want.
All right. I'm going to go with the Patriots winning this game. Now, you guys do know that I made a Rams, Drake curse kind of thing, which would predict that the Rams would win. But I'm not going to follow dictate. I'm not going to follow that. I'm going to go with what I see on the field. And I am picking the Patriots to win this game 27-24. I actually think this will be a pretty close battle between two teams. I like to think this is a parallel kind of Super Bowl 36. Brady was just getting into his career, like Goff is at this point in his stage. Belichick, while he was coaching for many years before this, was not a head coach until the year before. McVay is pretty young into his coaching career. They're focused on trying to win that first championship. A lot of parallels I see in these two kind of performances from 36 to 53. It's just the teams are reversed here. I really like what both teams can bring here. You know what Brady's going to do. I think the key is seeing what Sony Michel can do because he has had a huge performance in both the divisional round and the conference championship. He's rushed for a good amount of yards and has brought that run game this season to good levels of success. You know what James White can do out of the backfield. We'll see what the linebackers can do for the Rams. I'm not so certain that they are going to be able to stop them. So I'm pretty sure here that the Patriots are going to have an advantage there. The receivers for the Patriots are obviously going to be noteworthy. We'll see if Gronk can be in this game or if Edelman's going to take control. We know how clutch he can be, but we'll see what they're going to bring here. The defense, I think, has to get the pressure. Their secondary is not all that impressive to me. Aqib Talib, like AC brought up, has had his good success as of late, but if you can exploit Marcus Peters with somebody like an Edelman or something like that, I think that could be huge in this game. And also, just the small factors. There could be something that happens out of something like a special teams play that could definitely impact this game in a way we might not be thinking. So you kind of have to look at every aspect and see who has the better advantage. And I think overall, I think the Patriots are just more set up for this opportunity. And great coaching is going to be put in this game. But I think the Patriots are going to go down the field and have the ball last maybe and get the job done at the last possible moment. So I think it'll be a little bit closer than what AC is predicting, but I'm going 27-24 is my final.
All right, 27-24.
One thing I will say about that prediction is Tom Brady had an unbelievable defense, and Belichick was a defensive coach, which was a big reason Brady was clutch in that game. But them shutting down the greatest show on turf was probably the biggest storyline.
Oh, that was the biggest.
And that defense, yeah.
Yeah, Brady didn't do much in that game.
I don't think the Rams have that defense, in my opinion.
Okay, so Dylan, who's your Super Bowl MVP?
Oh, I haven't got that. It will most likely be Brady if they ever win. If they win, but I'm going to give
James White outside.
I'll give a James White as my Super Bowl MVP here. I think
is that your official pick, or is that like your?
No, that's my. I think that's my pick. I mean, like honestly, I don't think their linebackers are. If there's anybody that can be exploited here, I think their linebackers are not going to stop James White. I think he can have a big day. He can do anything like 15 catches that he had against the Chargers. Something like, I'm not going to say that, but I think he could have a lot of receptions on them.
Alvin Kamara did have 11. Kevel, what's your breakdown?
Well, let's start with the Rams first of all, and let's talk a little bit about Sean McVay. That everybody's talking about this new school guy, new ideas, young guy, all of this, good-looking guy. He actually turned quite old school in the last quarter of the year when he brought in C.J. Anderson after the losses to both the Eagles and the Bears. I think he realized that they needed to be a little bit more old school, hammer that football down the throat than they were. And I thought benching Gurley last week was an interesting decision in one of the biggest games. That feels very old school to me. That doesn't feel very new school. Most coaches would say, you know what, even if Gurley is stumbling or missed a block, I'm still going to play Todd Gurley. He didn't. He went with C.J. Anderson, even though many people consider Todd Gurley the best in the league. So I think this is interesting. I actually have a higher opinion than Jared Goff than appears we have on this panel. I thought he outplayed Drew Brees actually last couple weeks ago. I thought that he kind of in a little bit of a way had the team on his back and got this team down the field to get the tying field goal, to get him back into the game, even though there was a big fourth down. Remember, they were down 2 touchdowns. He kind of got him back into this. It was a key 4th and 1 that wasn't the first time that they pulled it off, but it was a key 4th and 1 that they pulled off against the Dallas, and he ran for a first down. He's not Tom Brady beautiful in terms of a pure passer of the football, but he knows how to get the job done. And I think he's a little bit smarter than people are giving him credit for, or even how he presents himself. He kind of presents himself as a little bit of a surfer dude, but I think there's a bit of cerebralness coming out there. I do. I think he's smarter than people are giving him credit for.
He's a silent genius.
I'm not saying he's a genius. I think that for the Rams to win, I think Todd Gurley needs to get about 115 all-purpose yards and C.J. Anderson 40. So I think they need to get 155 yards offensively. And I think we need to hear
their whole offense?
No, like for their running game.
I know you just
Sue Fowler, that linebacker crew needs to allow Aaron Donald to be Aaron Donald. This is a guy I think that is a unique presentation. I'm going to be interested to see what Mitch thinks about how they're going to attack Aaron Donald, because I do think he presents a very unique thing that I don't think any other Super Bowl team that the Patriots have faced has. I think this is a very unique opportunity here. If the Rams win, I actually believe Aaron Donald will be the MVP. But when I look at the Patriots, I see their offensive line. I see the way that they're going to run the ball. I think Gronk is going to have a very good game. I think he's got to get at least 5 catches for them to win. This is going to start slow. What's that? This is going to start slow, like in terms of scoring. It's going to be kind of a slower first half, but the scoring is going to start to pick up in the second half when both of these teams start feeling each other out and start realizing what they're doing. To me, I think an underrated story that has not been talked about this week is the Patriots' defense last year against the Eagles. I think that has rubbed Belichick and a lot of those Pats defensive players the wrong way. Tom Brady had one of the greatest performances in Super Bowl history, and nobody's talking about that. That was a 505-yard passing performance, and that they let really
without Brandon Cooks
defense wasted that away. That is, ask Mitch. That's a fact. I think the Patriots defense is going to be much more motivated in this game. Listen to these last 3 numbers, by the way, for Brady. For the last 3 playoff games: 92 for 138, 1,196 yards, over 340 against the Chargers, over 340 against Kansas City, and the 505-yard performance. To me, I think what it comes down to is the difference in this game, to shorten this up, is I believe the Patriots secondary and the Patriots defense is motivated enough to make a key stop. I don't think the Rams, you even look last week, with the LaMarcus Joyner could have picked that thing off on Michael Thomas. He didn't. I just think the Patriots secondary and the Patriots offensively and defensively in the last minute is what I can trust more. I have the Patriots 34, the Rams 31. a last-second Gostkowski field goal to walk us off.
I'll be nervous.
And the Pats.
If it was Vinatieri, I'd just start celebrating. But
for me, the Pats MVP, underrated MVP. Actually, I might go Julian Edelman here. It's either going to be White and underscore Edelman.
Oh, by the way, a new great parody song for Julian Edelman. Fantastic. AC, I think we all know who you're picking. So let's lay this out, bro. Why are you picking the Patriots? And why do you think it's going to be such a big win?
Well, I think I've pretty much spelt it out. Where I think that they're going to be able to stop the run game. The Patriots are going to be able to stop the run game. I think that Gilmore and obviously the way that secondary of a bunch of no names besides Gilmore and McCourty, and Jason McCourty has been good, but I don't think he actually has been as good as J.C. Jackson during the playoffs. So I think like a guy like J.C. Jackson is going to be huge for them. I just think Gilmore's going to be able to lock down whoever he wants, and then they're going to figure something out for those other receivers. And I just don't know. Goff is going to miss enough throws. I think he's going to maybe throw 2 interceptions in this game. I think it's going to be 30-17. And I'll go Brady. I did like the Edelman. Actually, the video tomorrow should be all the prop bets. We actually go through a lot of the MVPs. What are some solid bets? I do like Edelman because we talked about it. I thought he should have won MVP in that Super Bowl. I know Brady had a great fourth quarter, but I thought he made all the big plays and actually had over 100 yards
against the Seahawks.
Against the Seahawks, yeah. Tune in tomorrow for all your prop bets, and we actually go through all the odds for pretty much everything. It was it's about an hour long. So tomorrow around 8:00 Eastern, check out the bottom line view.
So what does Jared Goff actually have to do to gain some sort of respect from you?
No, he's got to win. He's got to win this game, because of him. He's got to pass the eye test, and he's got to win this game because of him. Because I don't think they're winning a lot of games because of him. I think it's a collective thing. This team is collective. I got to see him. You watch him; he misses a lot of throws. He skies a lot. Like he's not a perfect quarterback. To me, he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I know there's been worse ones, but this defense is not the same defense when we've seen those bad quarterbacks win it. That's why they win it. And this ain't it, Chief.
That was so cringe.
All right.
Dylan, is that what they say? Did I say it right?
Yeah, this is what the kids say. Yeah.
Okay. So Patriots Rams, guys, I've broken this game down to like the decimal point. So if you guys haven't already seen, because I did a video, I hope you guys enjoyed the style I did the videos in. Basically, I did narrations. So I pretended to be a Patriots coach. I pretended to be a Rams coach and narrated it as if I was the coach and talking about the game plan for each team. So check those videos out if you haven't already, and you'll get a better sense of, maybe a little bit deeper sense of where I'm going, but I'm still going to give you kind of a pretty big preview here. So let's start with the Patriots offense versus the Rams defense. I think we kind of all brought up every situation, but I think if the Rams can't stop the run the way they have against the Saints and the Cowboys, man, call the game. Call the game in the first quarter. Like if the Patriots can run the ball, like gashing runs in the first quarter, the game is not going to be very close. Now, I don't think the Rams will give up big run play. I think the Rams will try and stop the run. I think they're going to pack it in and try and make the Patriots a spread offense, which, to be honest, the Patriots haven't been much of this year. They've been more of the 2004 Patriots, where they're going to hit you with some Corey Dillon and pull the play action instead of, okay, we're going to hit Walker and Moss. They haven't really been doing that very much this year. So I think that's what they're going to try to do. Now, AC and I talked about it. Again, the video hasn't come out yet. But I think the big thing here is, how does the Patriots offensive line control that defensive line in the run game? Are they able to get to the second level of the Rams defense? Because if they are, it's going to be no contest, because the Rams are too small. they're all built on speed. And as we've seen, it will be very much like the Chargers, in my opinion. Like if Devlin and Gronk can get to those linebackers, those safety in the third level, then man, it's going to be toast. But if Donald and Sue, like I think Sue needs to have a huge game. If Sue can dominate in both facets in his matchup, because Kevin brought up what my opinion is on Donald, I don't think Donald's going to be a huge factor. I think the Patriots are going to double him as much as humanly possible. And it's going to be up to Sue to win his matchup. So whether if Sue is playing against Tooney or if he's playing against Mason, it's going to be up to him to win that matchup. And I think that's really where the Patriots, it's strength versus strength, which is why I think it's very fascinating. I know that offensive line and defensive line play isn't very fascinating for a lot of people. But as a football fan geek, I like to see one of the best interior lines versus one of the best interior lines on the other side. So it's going to be very fun to watch in both the pass and the run game. So, yeah, I think Donald's going to be doubled. I think one of the guards is going to have to take Sue. I think one other guy for the Rams defense that could be an X factor is Fowler. Fowler's had good games against the Patriots as a Jaguar. So I think it helps that the Patriots have played him already this season. So I think they kind of know what he's like. If he's against Cannon, I'm not too worried. I think he can have advantage against Brown because Brown is just so big that like a guy like Fowler, he's all built on quickness and kind of burst off the ball. And if he can make a move around Brown, it's going to be difficult. But if Brown can get hands on him, he'll win the matchup. Then, moving to the linebacker level against the Patriots, I think, like we all brought up, I think James White should have a big game in the passing game. They're going to have to scheme something up to take him out of the game. They can't allow him to get some early dump-off passes. They can't allow Brady to just snap the ball and look quick and throw it, to Edelman on an out for 5 yards early in the game and get his rhythm. If Brady's comfortable right off the bat, that's not a good sign. Then you look at Edelman. I think it's going to be him mostly versus Roby Coleman and probably like a double a lot of the times. I think Chris Hogan is probably going to be matched up with Talib, which I don't think he's going to get very many catches. I think they're just going to avoid him altogether. I think maybe Dorsett will make a couple plays on Peters. Look out for that. Maybe he hits one big like 40-yard catch or something.
So they're going to avoid Talib?
I think they're going to avoid Talib. I don't think they're going to throw at him. I think Talib is just going to cut because Talib, the statistic is he stays on the left side of the field 93% of the time. So I think because I don't think Talib travels into the slot. So they're going to put Edelman in the slot versus Roby Coleman. And then that's going to be the one-on-one unless they double him. If Talib stays on the left side, they're just going to want to put Hogan over there. I don't think they really care. Like, I think they're going to put Dorsett against Peters because he's a faster guy. Maybe give Peters a little bit of a tough thing there. And I think Gronk is going to be a huge issue. Like, I think his size is going to be a big problem because, yeah, he's not like the same athletic guy that he used to be. But really look at the Rams secondary. Who's big? Like you're going to cover 5'9" LaMarcus Joyner against 6'6" Rob Gronkowski. Like that's not going to happen. So how are they going to cover him? Is Mark Barron going to go one-on-one? And then if he's matched out wide, are they going to put a linebacker versus Gronk? Because that's not going to work. So I think like we all brought up, Gronk should have a big game. And then it's just going to match it. I just love to see how McDaniels and Wade Phillips are going to go head-to-head. And then I brought up how much zone are they going to play. So I think Brady's going to have a good game. I think White's going to have a good game. Edelman should have a solid game. I think Gronk should have a great game. Actually, my Super Bowl MVP is going to be Rob Gronkowski.
Oh!
I want it to be, and I'm picking him to be. I think he's going to score 2 touchdowns. He's going to have 110 yards on 6 catches.
Wow, that's going to be his best game in since the last Super Bowl.
And he's going to retire.
And he might retire. I don't know.
Him and McCourty, bro.
This is my prediction for the defense. Okay, going in the defense matchup, we'll talk about McCourty. Okay, so the defensive line, I think, how are the Patriots going to take advantage of this offensive line of the Rams? Because they're very good. We all know they're very good. They give Goff a lot of time, and a lot of that's built off their run game because then they can use all their play action and stuff. So as AC said, Patriots are going to focus on that run game first, try and take that away. I think they're going to activate Danny Shelton. He didn't even play against the Chiefs because they just knew they weren't going to use him. So is he going to be a factor? Are they going to play bigger? Are they going to play smaller? Are they going to have 3 linebackers, or are they going to make Chung a linebacker? My expectation is that they'll have Hightower and Van Noy, they're going to play like more of a bear. Like they're going to have 3 big guys in the middle, I think, with like Shelton, Guy, and Flowers. And then they're going to have Van Noy and Hightower and probably Chung. I think Chung's going to play linebacker a lot because the Rams play a lot of 3 receivers. So they don't play a lot of like 2 tight end sets. And then I think sometimes we're going to see Gilmore on Cooks by himself. Sometimes we're going to see Jonathan Jones and McCourty on Cooks. And sometimes we're going to see Gilmore on Woods. I think the matchup that they are going to do mostly is Gilmore on Woods, because I think Woods is more of like the chain mover, the comfort guy for Goff, which I think Belichick likes to take away the most. And then they're probably going to have J.C. Jackson on Reynolds and probably McCourty on the tight end or something. So I'm looking forward to that, just to see how those matchups work out. But I think the big thing for the Patriots defense is how are they going to confuse Goff? How are they going to get pressure on him? And I think a lot of it's going to be not similar to Mahomes, but they're going to try and attack the middle of the offensive line, the interior, because Whitworth and Havenstein are pretty good. So I think they're going to kind of avoid edge blitzes, but more like trying to do some stunts and stuff through the middle and see if that kind of works. And I think they're going to one thing that I think is going to be interesting. We all know that McVay loves to talk to Goff before the play. I think they might like audible, like right after McVay can't talk to Goff. Like I think they might like show one thing and then like switch their look. Like I think you could see where the Patriots always have all those linebackers at the line. They might like switch their look on like a 3rd down or something, and that could confuse Goff into making
Mahomes a lot last.
Yeah, like I think you could see that in this game, but maybe a little bit more sudden in their like movement. Maybe like it looks like it's clearly this, and then they change it to that right as they're about to snap the ball. So that's going to be interesting. Look out for that. But yeah, I think the Patriots defense is pretty underrated. I wasn't comfortable with them last year. I think they've been pretty good this year. And I don't think the challenge this week is nearly as tough as it was last week, especially in Kansas City. So I'm looking forward to see how the defense plays. I think if they stop the run, we're good. If they can run the ball, if the Rams can run the ball, then I think it's going to be a closer game than I expect. But overall, I'm going to say the game is going to be 31-20 for the Patriots. And the game sealing interception will be by Devin McCourty.
Oh, it's storybook.
Storybook. Devin McCourty will get the game-winning interception because Goff's going to be under pressure. He's going to throw it up to Cooks, and McCourty's going to be right there to pick it off. It won't be Deron Harmon.
Oh, clutch.
It will be Devin McCourty. 31-20, Super Bowl MVP, Rob Gronkowski, game-sealing interception, Devin McCourty.
Can I throw in a couple points here?
Yes, go ahead.
No Patriots Super Bowl, even in a loss, has been decided by more than 8 points. So that is something to throw in there. That's why I'm interested in your 31-20 prediction. Kev, you said that Gronkowski was going to go down there and kick the field goal for the win, which would be cool. And I actually do have a 3-point difference, but he has missed an extra point in both Super Bowl 51 and 52. So his psyche and the psyche in the Super Bowl is
that's why I'd be nervous. But Gronkowski has been good on like game-winning field goals like throughout his career. He just hasn't had as many and like as memorable ones as Vinatieri. But
yeah, I mean Vinatieri's are like godlike. So you can only go a little bit low.
Yeah, if I was at the stadium, like I would just, if I was a Rams fan and it was Vinatieri, I would just like start leaving. If it was Gronkowski, though, I would like pray that he might. Yeah.
And by the way, I want to follow. I want to throw out that a interesting person in this game is Dante Fowler, who in week 2, when he was with the Jaguars, still he actually did get a sackle. Wow,
that's what it should be called. Why
there
is
you
it
go.
A sackle?
I don't know why. It's weird
because it sounds horrible.
He had a sack, a tackle for loss, and a fumble recovery.
See, I told you he had a big game.
So he did a pretty good job in that week 2 matchup. That's one thing I want to throw in there is a little bit more defensive line pressure.
And that's why I feel confident in this matchup, because the Rams' strength is the interior, not the edge. I feel like the Patriots on their line are more susceptible to giving up edge pressure than they are interior, but I don't know. I could be wrong. And I think it does help. I know you said they've not played a guy like Donald. They did play Fletcher Cox last year.
Yeah.
That helped.
And if you look about the Eagles have a good offensive line, what the Eagles did against Donald in that matchup, he was non-existent. They doubled him every time.
Same as the Bears.
The edge rushers couldn't step up.
But what Sue and Fowler, what they do in this game is going to, if they're on, if they're playing super well, and if they're starting to dominate their matchup, that does affect what you do with Aaron Donald, because you're going to have to make some adjustments. I mean, maybe you double him the whole game and say, okay, Sue and Fowler, if you beat us, congratulations, you won the Super Bowl. But there's still going to be some adjustments throughout the game. That's what's, if we hear more Sue Fowler than we should, I do think that that's an advantage for the Rams.
And how about this trend? We were talking about Patriots have never won more than 8 points. How about this trend, though? Yep. Since 2010, that was more than 11. New Orleans beat Indy 31-17. Then there were one-score games for 3 straight years until Seattle beat Denver 43-8. And now there's been 4-3. So I think we're ready for a blowout again, basically what I'm saying.
Hopefully it's not for the Rams.
No, it's going to be the
Rams win 38-17. That would be the worst thing ever.
I would be shocked.
That would be
I
insane.
think everyone would be shocked. More than last year.
Yeah.
No, like the Patriots.
Even though the spread was last year.
It's so rare the Patriots get blown out in a playoff game.
Oh, you're saying blown out. You're not just saying just lose.
No, I'm saying blown out.
Blown out.
Yeah. No. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. So what would we rank it like if there's 4 things, like Patriots win close, Rams win close, Patriots blowout, Rams blowout? What is the order for you guys? Like, I think AC is like Pat's blowout number 1, but
yeah, and then but I just don't. If it's close, I'd be surprised.
What's a blow? Like 10 plus points?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like you had 10, I think I had 13. Something like 2 full scores, in my opinion, near the end of the game.
Okay.
I'm going Pats close, Rams close, Pats blowout, Rams blowout.
I would go in the same order as Mr. Cowboy. I think it's an interesting matchup here.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Michael gives us $6. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
He's a Saints fan, of course. He says, fire Goodell, make football great again. Pats win 4 touchdowns. Who dat?
4 touchdowns. Jesus.
And
4 touchdowns.
Roger Goodell's a master of saying lots but saying nothing.
So, Kev, you listened to that interview. What did you think?
It was not surprising. It's kind of, just hi, how are you? It's really more for the sponsors that everything is great. I thought that the 2 things that I took away that were really interesting is his approach to London. Like, just kind of, I think that there's some people in London hoping that the NFL's coming. I think kind of putting that to bed a little bit, I think was good. Thought his comments about Reuben Foster was kind of interesting.
What did he say?
He basically said even though he was in charge, he may not be back.
Kareem Hunt, what did he say?
I missed the Kareem Hunt part. If I'm from San Diego, I'm a little miffed that he's not giving an opportunity. That Oakland situation is a very underrated mess. What's going to happen there? Because I think he knows that. And in terms of, to be fair, I thought he handled the Saints controversy actually pretty well. I think that there was not much more than you can say as we'll look at the possibility of doing instant replay on judgmental calls. I think that there's a lot to consider on that. And there's like, and AC is a follower of the CFL, or a bit closer of a follower than most of us of the CFL. They actually haven't mastered the art of exactly how.
It's not. It's the worst, because I'll say this for us American viewers. In Canada, in the CFL, they have you can challenge pass interference calls, part of your challenges. But here's the problem: if you can keep it and you can challenge within less than 2 minutes, you can challenge within 2 minutes. Like it's not the same like in the NFL. Here's the thing: teams would just throw it up, and if it was their last gasp effort of the game, they would just challenge, and then they'd have to look at this like ticky tack stuff that normally at the end of a game it's just a judgment call. But if you slow down everything, we've seen that in the CFL where it's tough not to call pass interference when you're challenging it.
AC, my proposition would be that they keep the way it is, like like they have the 2 challenges, but they basically like you can only challenge you could challenge it the same, but like penalties like count. So like if you get the call wrong, if you think it's pass interference, you lose a timeout. Like it's exactly the same. It's just you can challenge that call now. Like that's how I would do it.
But I understand. I just feel like at the end of the game,
and NFL already has that where you can't like challenge within 2 minutes.
No, and I know, but I just still think even at the end of a game, you still before the 2 minutes can just throw one up, and you tell your player, okay, just make it look like pass interference. They don't call it. They go to the replay, and all of a sudden, it looks like pass interference because in slow motion and a replay, a lot of stuff. That's the only issue that you'll run into is in even general, not at the end of the game. At any time you're challenging pass interference, there's so much stuff that looks like pass interference. I'd rather keep it a judgment call by the refs. That was blatant, but for the most part, I don't think the refs are that horrible. They've had some tough calls, and I just think it's maybe just a down year. I don't think it's like the trend. Football's so fast, and we've had good years where we haven't had a lot of these issues. It's reffing. In any sport, there's reffing issues throughout the year. It just happens. That was just on a very big stage, and it's
I know Bill Belichick has said he wants to challenge everything.
Yeah, and then the games are like 4 hours. And
the other thing to remember too is CFL officiating is not even close to competent as NFL officiating.
For sure. And that's why this whole thing, all the CFL fans were like, "Oh, we have it actually pretty good in Canada." Well, they do on that one call because that, when things like that call happen, everyone just wants to go on it and join the party. But at the end of the day, too, and I want to say this about Goodell, the whole hate Goodell thing came from Patriots Nation.
Because a lot of it was warranted.
A lot of it was warranted, but he still has a job for a reason. Why do you think the numbers they said?
No, he's a good commish outside of some of the sketchy Patriot stuff.
Exactly. And I'm just saying, but that started.
And the way he handled domestic violence and stuff like that. He's not good at that. He's not good in that area.
Well, now he's learning from that. But I'm just saying, like I've heard
he's good as a businessman.
I've heard a lot of people that I think he gets a bad rap in a way too. Just like even personally, I've heard from people that work there at NFL that he's actually a pretty decent guy that you'd want to have a beer with. So protect the shield. Protect the shield.
Elena's dad's in the chat trolling Patriot fans.
Trolling.
Of course, a Jaguar fan. Patriots are terrible in the first quarter in every Super Bowl. This is actually true. Says 38-35 Rams. That might be a sign to as to how the game's going to go. If the Patriots somehow score in the first quarter, then yeah, maybe. What else we got? Patriots defense is ass. McVay is licking his chops against that defense. Bodo says Goff is a second-tier quarterback. Robot says they're so ass they shut down the Chiefs' offense in the first half for the help to help the offense. Elena's dad says it's always the above-average dorky quarterbacks that beat Brady. Eli Manning, Nick Foles, and now Jared Goff. How about that?
Guys, it's all about the NFC East, which means no one's ever going – the Rams aren't going to win.
I'm not saying Goff is like super elite, but I don't think he's hot trash.
I just think he's – what I've said before is McVay's only going to go as far as Jared Goff takes him. McVay could be an unbelievable coach. I think that the downfall of – not McVay, he's going to have a job, but I think he's tied. He's tied to Goff for a long time. And – if Goff continues to get better with McVay, I think that helps. But I think if you're McVay, yeah, they made the Super Bowl, but I think them going for it, as we've seen, grabbing Cooks, the two corners, some help on the edge. I think we've seen them go for it that you would think they could be in, and at the end of the day, they beat the Cowboys, and then they beat the good Saints team. The one thing about this is, regardless of that PI call, to me, the Saints were still the better team, offense and defensively. And that's
to me,
why
the Rams
it's
played
kind of
better.
sour.
All
The Rams
games.
in that game, yes, but that's what happens in football, right? But I would say the Saints were the best team in the NFC, but for those 60 minutes they weren't, and that's how playoffs work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have 2 trend stats for you, just off the top of my head. I forgot about these. Patriots are 16-1 in the playoffs when they play the team the first time for the season. The only team to beat them was last year's Eagles. So there you go, AC.
This is our last week as defending champs. A couple more days. Let's go.
Second one is the Patriots are 10-2 against quarterbacks that have 3 years or less in the playoffs. And the 2 teams that beat them were both defensive running football teams, which was the Jets with Mark Sanchez and Joe Flacco, and the Baltimore Ravens. And Flacco only threw 9 passes in that game. And they won. Yeah. Okay. What else? James says, true or false? Ty Law will be elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame this Saturday.
You should.
I will say true. Because it's been like 3 years. Probably should.
Is he first? Is this first time, or
no?
Is he?
No, this is like his 3rd time, and he's been a finalist every time. That's why I'm thinking yes, but
probably. It's an interesting class.
The
only one I think I'm pretty confident about is Tony Baselli.
Yeah, and Alan Faneca, I think.
Wade Phillips not worried about Gronk, says Elena's dad. Kevin Durkant says, Mitch, that is a bunch of blasphemy. Elena's dad says Gilmore can't cover Woods one-on-one. Dylan responded. Dylan, you have a response?
Yeah, Gilmore was like the best cornerback all year. What the fuck are you talking about?
Raw guy says Gilmore is one of the best, if not the best corner in the NFL.
Yeah, Chief. Right?
Yeah,
Chief.
Yeah.
Fact or fiction? Belichick fake punts.
Ooh.
But the Rams are going to. They're still going to do it. They do it every.
Patriots are going to be like in fake punt coverage the whole game.
Yeah. A
They're still
freaking
gonna do something stupid.
hacker over here.
One thing too, if I was cheering for the Rams and how the Eagles, you do have to take chances. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to take chances to beat the Patriots.
Absolutely.
And McVay has that, but sometimes that can backfire.
Oh, I'll also say this: the Patriots have never lost the Super Bowl in the same year that Alabama lost. I think someone said that in the chat.
There you go. All right, guys. I gotta head out. Peace out, guys. Sorry, gotta leave.
Peace. Have fun at the game.
Thanks, bro.
Go Stars.
Go Stars.
Patty says Rams score more early. New England plays catch up for a classic dramatic ending. New England falls short. Rams win.
Yeah, that would be entertaining. Like I think the game's gonna get blown, but at the end of the day, I don't really care who wins or loses. So it's gonna be cool to, if a game is super exciting, that makes it even better.
James says Brady needs 16 more pass completions to reach 1,000 postseason completions. And a Predator says, hey, Phillips, looking cute this evening. And Kevin Durkant says, Predator is weird. Okay, on that note, any final words?
If you guys like to put prop bets down, Mitch and I went through a bunch of them, like a lot. So we're not telling you to bet, but if you want to put some nickels and dimes down on some fun bets, it makes it interesting, especially like we explained, when your team's not in it and it's the last time you can gamble on football in 5 months. So check it out tomorrow.
Yeah, we had some fun on it. Kevolt?
The only prop bet that I'm willing to put a nickel on is I believe that this game will have a record in terms of the most players catching a ball on both teams.
You can't. That's not a prop bet that exists.
Okay, but
no, I'm kidding.
Don't. Yeah, I think this
every prop bet exists.
I think that this will be a very fascinating game. It will be interesting, and as the week goes on, I think the hype will go up.
Yeah, for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Kevol, I also plug for us.
Yes, starting next week, leading up to the end of game, we are going to review all of the Marvel films from Captain America, the first Avenger.
Bro, it starts with Iron Man.
All right, I always, because the first story.
Yeah, I know.
It starts with Iron Man, goes to the end game. We're going to figure that out. That's on Agree or Disagree the podcast twice.
Yeah, so guys, you're going to check that out. I'll leave you with this from Doug Kide. He says, Rob Gronkowski was asked if he's retiring. He says, yes, no, maybe so. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more NFL. It's Mitch, Kevil, Dilly Vanilli, and AC. Peace out.